What's up, guys? Can you guys hear me? I know it's been a while. I want to make sure you guys can hear this. Give me a heads up if you can hear it. Bucky, what's up, man? Can you guys hear me? Just let me know you can hear it. I'm pretty sure it's working, but I just want to make sure. Canes, Bucky, anybody to make tell me that you can hear me. Hello, baseball fans. Oh, I'm muted. Okay. Should not be muted. You hear me now? Oh, you hear me. You were muted. Canes? Dude, I'm good. All right. Everyone else is saying I'm good. Canes is saying that you can't hear me. All right. It's good. All right. I want to, first off, guys, great to hear from all of you. You guys are dedicated because it's been a while since I've done one of these. Uh, I am going to be doing these all season. So just want to make sure you guys were aware, like we're back and we're going ham. All right, so we had a bunch of messages. Let me catch up on them. Been waiting for his return about damn time. Thank you, Barks. Canes currently watching Jacob Lombard play live versus Mater Academy. They have a couple of D1 commits. Nice. Question to you, Kyle. I've been watching Mater Academy 2 nights in a row. Their left side of the infield, third base is FSU, and shortstop is Florida. Both have 4 errors each in the first 2 games. How is that possible? I'll tell you what, man. Like I said, I mean, high school infielders are high school infielders. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think that they're good for a high school player. It's like to play third base or shortstop at FSU or Florida. You're one of the best defenders in the infield in the country, typically. Now, what I will say is this, and coaches like Link Jarrett and Sully, they're going to recruit bats first, right? I mean, in this era of college baseball, you need offense, you need bats. But if they feel like the guy is an athlete, the thing about baseball is people forget. I mean, it's a skill development sport. Athleticism obviously will help you in skill development, but there's plenty of really good baseball players that are not like the best athlete. But if you put in reps, and a coach like Link Jarrett or a coach like Sully at Florida, like they're going to look at a guy and think this guy's really athletic. We can definitely get work in. We can develop the defense. Defense. I think nobody talks about it, but defense is a thing that is probably the easiest to develop in the game. Like defense is nothing but reps, especially in the infield. Again, I've played with guys who were not great defenders to start. I've advised guys, I've played with guys, I've coached them that you thought, okay, he's not a very good defender, and then a year later you're like, oh, this guy's really good, and it's only because of the work. That's all it is. Okay, let me try to catch up here. Are they not teaching these kids defense? They are, but I explained, I think. Yo, 954, what's up, man? Yo, gang, Canes, and also good to see you, Kyle, and I hope you and your family are doing well. Thank you, Canes. Yeah, everyone's doing great. I think we kind of dodge the cross my fingers, like the sickness time for little kids. We only had basically one time they both got sick. Kyle lives. Bucky, I told you, man, I was coming. I told you I was coming back. Get Mater versus Gulliver on. Yeah, for real. 7-5. Bottom 754. Wiley Ballard Enjoyer. Hello, baseball fans. What's up, Wiley? How you doing? Good to see you. And you are muted. That's when Canes was telling me I was muted, and everyone else was like, "Oh, you're good." Then Wiley said it was in Spanish. No say, Poppy. I was muted. My mistake. Yeah, Kyle. 2 days before college baseball, where you been? I got excuses for it. I'll say that. I don't feel like I need to say why, but rest assured, Buck, we're back. We're doing this. I actually was planning on doing some earlier in the week, and then just schedule-wise, it just it didn't make sense. I don't know why it says user 34218. I think you were John, if I'm not mistaken. You said nice. I'm thinking it's John. And a new haircut. Thanks, Buck. No, I mean, I just kind of grown it out more. This is always what my hair looks like, but it's just when it grows out more. I'm getting a little flowy in the back. I don't know if you can tell, but it's getting flowy back there. And I always kind of do that in baseball season, even if I'm not playing or anything. Okay. I was actually looking at your IG the other day to see if you were still posting. Need some insider scoop from Canes. For real. The FSU kid looks like one of those. Make sure I'm reading this right. LSU or the FSU kid looks like one of those Cuba. I'm guessing you meant Cubans that is in the Soviet system. Looks like he's been eating weights since 12 years old. He's a beast with the bat. I mean, I was in the clubhouse in spring training with the Reds with Yasiel Puig, and yeah, I mean that guy was a monster. I'm telling you what, there's that might have been the if you rank the people you've met over the course of your life that you would like never want to get in a fight in, I think Yasiel Puig's number one. Just from sheer physicality and just kind of intimidation factor perspective, that's him. Hairline looking divine, KW. Thank you, Wiley. Thank you. I'm picking us to win the national championship. Oh, Canes. You remember last year? Do you guys remember last year? Like 25 games into the season, 30 games in the season, Canes and Zach were throwing in the towel. And then the Canes almost make a trip to the World Series. And now they're preseason top 25. You know, hey, the Canes are on their way up. National championship may be a little bit of a stretch, but we'll see. Who are the teams to watch this year? Welcome back. Any new content videos planned? Yes, we're going to be doing new content videos as well. Stay tuned. Who are the teams to watch this year? Shoot, well, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, I'll tell you that much. We're going to get into that, though, John. If it is you, John, we're going to get into that. That's great unbiased scoop, Canes. Yeah, exactly. Have been more confident in team in any sport besides Florida Panthers in 2022 when we won the President's Trophy. You still coaching high school? No, I am not this year. And I just did not feel like I didn't have the time. I'm going to be doing some broadcasts at Georgia Tech too. And, you know, it's kind of like both of those things I really love, I really enjoy, but the one thing about the broadcasting is I'm able to do that and I don't have like a practice every day and, you know, games and, you know, like thank your high school coach, guys, because that was a huge time commitment last year and I enjoyed every second of it. But again, when you have like two little kids and it just becomes, that's tough to do, right? And especially, I mean, listen, I was getting a stipend, but it's not like I was making a lot of money, okay? And that was a lot of hours I was putting in. I'm serious. This is the best team of my lifetime. Okay, Canes, we'll see. It's John. That's what I thought, dude. ACC baseball buzz, getting a little flowy. Be serious, KW. Hey, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I mean, you can't. I mean, maybe on camera it's tough to see, but I'm telling you what, you put this in a hat and it starts kind of flowing out a little bit. Boys, you don't know what it's like to have that kind of flow. Most of you guys don't. This is a serious show. ACC baseball buzz. Who is ACC baseball buzz? I'd have to check. Again, it's probably, I don't know. Now I'm going to feel bad because I'm like, it's probably someone I should know, and I'm just getting back into it. Was your absence due to you carrying out the patriotic mission in Caracas, Venezuela? I cannot confirm or deny that I was in Caracas at that time. Does Georgia? I did invest in some, let's say, crude, heavy sour crude oil refining companies. So, you know, take that with what you will. So anyway, Sad Bunny or Kid Rock show. You know what, dude? And this is what I'll say about it. The Super Bowl show. And again, this is going to take up like 10 minutes. But I actually like from listening to Bad Bunny, and I've never listened to a song alone by myself or since I've been out of pro ball. When I was in pro ball and like guys would put those songs on, like I didn't mind them. I actually didn't mind. I kind of like it. The issue with Bad Bunny is it was I think if you looked at the videos from the actual stadium, that halftime show was not designed for people in the stadium. Like most people couldn't even see what was going on. They were in that like corn maze or whatever it was, or maybe it was sugar cane, or I don't know what it was. But they were like, they couldn't even see it. And like, it is tough in the American Super Bowl to have like every song in Spanish. Again, I don't know Bad Bunny that much. I thought, okay, he's gonna have some songs in Spanish. He's probably got some songs where he is in English. And I didn't really pay that much attention to it, but I don't think I heard one in English. I could be wrong. So like, I don't have any issue with Bad Bunny. I do think like for the Super Bowl, it's like maybe, and I guess they're trying to globalize the sport. They're doing that with every sport now. So maybe that was the strategy behind it. But, again, everything at this point where our country's at, everything's polarized, so it's going to be like that with everything. Okay. I'm hoping no one remembers. Me Too 954. Who is your second favorite Super Bowl halftime performance behind Bad Bunny? I mean, I'll be serious and just say Eminem, because I was like growing up a huge Eminem fan. Miami versus Southern Miss was actually a great Super last year. Yeah, it was. It really was. It was fantastic. It honestly was probably, it might have been, I'm trying to remember. It's been so long, it seems like now, but I'm trying to remember if there was one that was better. And you guys probably know. Need Quant Stream 2.0, by the way. Yeah. Well, hey, don't worry. Maybe we'll do like every quarter of the season prediction show so we can become really official. Hate that the YouTube chat is it's you know what it is? You guys have typed in so much stuff, like I'm still trying to catch up. Where's the colorful mic? Dude, I've had this one, Buck. I've had this one. This was from last year too. I upgraded like mid-season and got like a real one, not the like Best Buy like video game streamer mic. You're back. It's time for college baseball. That's right, Dancy. How you doing? Good to see you back. Good to see you back in here. Pie Gal's back. Let's go. Yeah, that's right. ACC baseball buzz. Again, I'm trying to figure out ACC baseball buzz. Pie Gal Baboni. That's right. That's how they say it. I mean, talk to any Dominican. That's how they'll say it. Baboni. What up? What's up, Cap? How you doing, man? Kyle once told me he loved the Janet Jackson show. Yeah, I mean, you said it, not me. I didn't say anything about it. I actually remembered that. I don't know how old I was when that happened, but I remember just like how everybody was freaking out about it. And my parents, being very like Christian conservative, were like, I think my mom was like in a panic. I had to be like 12 or something. Maybe I was even younger than that. And I remember my mom being like, oh my gosh. Prediction for Georgia Tech season. Nancy, you cannot put me on the spot like that. I will say, going into this, especially let's talk about last year's draft. So I think going into last year's draft, I remember talking to James and him, that was kind of like right after he had gotten really announced as the head coach. And he told me, like, if we can get these two pitchers on campus, which was Cooper Underwood, who's going to be starting Sunday this weekend, and the other guy, the right-handed pitcher from Florida, Canes, you probably know who he is. I cannot remember his name for the life of me as I look up the roster right now. And I'll find it. Where is he? So it's Cooper Underwood was one. And I'll say another one, Jamie Vicens, even though I think he didn't have as much draft hype as the other two, like a 6'5" guy, power sinker. He's going to be an interesting guy. I'll have to talk to the staff about like kind of where they think he may end up. But I mean, that guy was very intriguing when I saw him in high school. Man, this guy's got to be at the very bottom. Or did I miss him? Charlie Wilcox. Gosh, I know you guys probably all got it. Charlie Wilcox. So Ramsey told me, he's like, man, if we can get these two guys, like we're going to feel really good, because that was when the portal class was shaping up, and they got Shattuck from Rutgers, you got Dylan Loy from Tennessee, and then you got returners like Patel and some of those other guys that got a lot of innings last year. And all of a sudden you got the makings of a pretty good bullpen, a pretty deep bullpen. What I will say is really the question marks for this team are Saturday and Sunday right now. Mason Patel will be starting Saturday, and I'm like up in the air about what I think about it, because I just think having a guy like Patel in the bullpen who can go 4 or 5 innings, and like what he did last year was invaluable. They don't get anywhere close to where they did last year without Patel and his ability to just kind of close out games from a starter that went 3 or 4. Like to just, okay, he's got the ball, he's going to keep us in the game or shut him down for 5 innings. And really the first 3 quarters of the season, he was unhittable. I mean, no one scored anything on him. So talk about how valuable that is to almost guarantee a win on the weekend. Tate McKee, I think if he continues to, if he shows the same improvement he did from freshman year to sophomore year, he's a legit Friday guy. That's 100%. Velocity's ticked up even more. Again, this is his 3rd year under his belt now as a starter for the most part. And I think he's going to be solid. Sunday is another one. You see Cooper Underwood going tonight, or sorry, Sunday night, this weekend, or Sunday at noon or 1 o'clock. I think it's going to be interesting. I think the staff is pretty solid on Patel on Saturday, just from talking to James about it. But I mean, he told me they had like maybe 8 guys that were competing for that Sunday spot. So they feel like they have a lot of depth, which that's a great thing when you think, man, we got 8 guys that could potentially win this. But so that's going to be kind of the thing for Georgia Tech. That's the only thing you're looking to play out over those first 4 weeks before conference play starts. You're not worried. The lineup is going to be the lineup. Like this lineup is ungodly. It is like potentially a legendary lineup. And we'll talk about that maybe some more. But that's kind of my outlook. I know that probably was like 15, 25 minutes. All right. Kyle once told me he loved said he rouses it once a year. Yeah. Canes, you have terrible taste in music. Sorry. I can also not understand a word of it, Kappa, and I am Hispanic. Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Like that's what, even, some if you play with a Latin guy from like Venezuela or Puerto Rico, Dominican are a little bit. I mean, I think they have like the dialect of their Spanish is kind of similar, but you like if you play with a guy from like Colombia or like Mauricio Dubon, who I played was from Honduras, like they a lot of times they can't understand what the Dominican guys are saying, right? And it's because the dialect, the accent that they use and the way they talk is different. If you're not coaching, we're going to miss the joy of your players joining the stream from school. Maybe get Drew Burris to pop in. Yeah, for real. That was always great. That was always the best part of the show. Didn't know Frank raised you on Eminem. He didn't. Definitely not. But, you're a rebellious kid. You find a way to stick it to your parents. Cap says, laugh out loud. Give us your take on Tony V with the Giants. I think it's going to be great. And the reason for that is, like, I think Tony... If you look at what he did at Tennessee, I mean, Tennessee was in the dumpster. I don't think they had a winning season in like 10 years. They were like at best 500 over the last decade. And he comes in there and him and Josh Elander, and I'm excited to see what Elander does at Tennessee this year. But I mean, they turned it into a powerhouse. And I think a lot of people think that's recruiting and it's that, but really, sure, they have to be great recruiters. They got great players to come to Tennessee when it was the worst team in the SEC for the most part, maybe outside of Missouri. And he gets guys to come in, but he also, if you notice at Tennessee, I mean, almost every guy maximized, if on the probabilities of this is the best they can be and this is like average, his guys always end up somewhere up here. And so I think, he brings a lot of fire. He brings a lot of energy. I'm going to really interested to see how Frank Anderson does with them as well. But I think he's going to do well, man. I think Major League Baseball, and you guys know my feeling about it, but I feel like it needed a baseball guy in there. Tony V, like, I think he even said it in an interview. He's like, I'm not, I let some of the other guys handle the analytics. Like, he's a baseball guy. And it's not to mean he doesn't know analytics or understand it. Obviously, he definitely does. But I just think he's more of a baseball guy. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. But I'm hoping he kills it. Can you enlighten the Braves fans in the chat what they can expect from Mauricio Dubon this year? Man, he can hit. He's got a good bat. I think when I played with him, he was one of the things he was not great at was just patience at the plate. He was a free swinger, wasn't going to draw a lot of walks, but he was always, at that point, he was hitting over 300 every year. He could really hit. He's a good hitter. He's athletic. He can play all over the diamond. He can play in the infield, obviously a shortstop, but he can play in the outfield too. He's an athletic guy, great guy. And so I'm hoping he does well. Just threw a 9 milligram pillow in. Let's go. Nice. Watch your tone when you talk to Pie Gal, Kyle. Okay. Yeah. Which tools does Dubon have under his belt? He's got one of those too. Rutgers pitchers. No, the freshman, Charlie Wilcox. Yes. We need a pitching big time. Excited about Underwood. When will James Ramsey be on the show, Kyle? We'll see. Well, we're going to let him, let him breathe a little bit. Again, you guys talk, one of the things we talked about last year going into the season was Michael Early at Texas A&M and how it was kind of unprecedented for a, first-time head coach to be at the helm of a preseason number one team. Well, James Ramsey's a first-time head coach on a preseason number two team. So it's a very similar circumstance. I do think Ramsey's probably more equipped and ready for that. I mean, he's basically been being prepared for that for the last 3 or 4 years. And I think he's very process oriented. He's very organized. I mean, he has all the things that you want in a head coach. And obviously they've done a great job recruiting. So I think I'm excited for it, but it is this very similar situation, right? A very loaded team. Last year's A&M team was supposed to be the best offense in the country. This year's Georgia Tech team supposed to be the best offense in the country. So it's very, 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 very big similarities. But I do think Georgia Tech's offense this year is more talented than A&M's last year. Just all around. Is Patel going to start? Yes, he's starting Saturday. But we don't know, again, is that long-term? Is he trying out for that? My instincts from talking to some of the staff is that I think they're pretty set, and I think they're pretty certain he's going to be their Saturday guy all year. But again, they'll pivot if they need to. Will Patel be in the weekend rotation on May 1st? I don't know, man. And this is my thing. I think Patel, if you bring him in after a guy that's throwing hard, I think he becomes almost impossible to hit. Because he's got excellent command with his fastball. But I do think for me, this is the issue with Patel. And again, Patel was elite last year. I'm like nitpicking here. I'm not, saying, I'm not trying to say he's like not good or anything. The type of pitcher he is, there's almost no margin for error in this environment. If he pitched when I played, he'd be like one of the best pitchers in the country because you couldn't hit the ball at the ballpark. Well, this era, everybody and their grandma can hit the ball out of the park. So he's got a lot less margin for error because of that in the zone. If he makes mistakes, because he doesn't throw as hard, like they're going to make more contact. And so the question is, can he keep a team off their toes for a starter, 6 or 7 innings when you're coming in with not, again, he's got that elite changeup, which is the equalizer for him and why he can pitch the way he does. But again, that's if you're going to nitpick and think, all right, why wouldn't you be in the rotation? It's, more because you don't see him going deep into games, and maybe he's more valuable being able to pitch twice in the weekend, which is what we talked about last year, right? One of the reasons Georgia Tech was so good is because they had 3 or 4 bullpen arms that they could really depend on, and they just rode those guys for the entire year. Thought Patel in the bullpen was so helpful. Didn't know he'd start. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, Nancy, but they feel like now, and again, this is another reason, is they feel like that bullpen now, they don't need Patel in the bullpen. They feel like they got 7 or 8 arms back there now. Instead of last year, you had like 4. They got 7, 8, 9 arms they feel like they can depend on. Now, again, we won't know that for sure until the season starts because, every team's got fall Americans on it. So who are the pretenders? Who are the real ones? A classic Georgia Tech outsourcing a starting spot to an Indian. Everyone give predictions on your team's season. Yeah, everybody. Canes 40-13, 19-11 in the ACC for the Canes. Okay. We have a light ACC schedule, in my opinion, compared to last year. Yeah, that's good. Know anything about Josh Elander? I think Tennessee could struggle this year. Yeah, I mean, I was teammates with Josh in pro ball for 2 years. He's exactly who you would want. I will say this about Josh. He's not like super high energy. You're not going to see him screaming at the umpires like Tony did. He's not that guy. And a lot of reasons, that was, I think, why Tony and him were such a good combo, was because they really balanced each other out and just like their demeanor. But what I will say, there's not a player on that team that wouldn't die for Josh Elander. And that is something that a lot of coaches don't have. That's just the reality. And again, you have to remember, like, Josh was there running a lot of that stuff. He was running the offense. Like, so you're not going to see a whole lot of change. I think the one thing you're concerned about if you're Tennessee is, what does the pitching staff look like with Frank Anderson gone? I think that is probably the biggest thing. I would not be worried at all if I'm A&M with Elander at the helm. But what you would be worried about is, okay, Frank Anderson's kind of like, he was running college baseball pitching-wise for the last 5 or 6 years, and that's a big loss. So that's what I would be worried about if I was Tennessee. If I was a Tennessee fan. TCU going to win the Big 12? 2024, Christian Moore, Blake Burke, Dylan Riling, Billy Amick, one of the lineups I've ever seen. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, great lineup, right? When you're talking about, and let me just, man, you guys are, all right, I'm almost caught up, and then remind me, John, to talk about the lineup. Utah Valley will win the WAC. Okay. Question to you, Kyle. Did you go to the ABCA? And if you did, what were the coaches talking about when it comes to recruiting and for the future roster cuts from 40 to 34? I actually was not able to go this year, but I did talk to a lot of coaches that were there. And I think the biggest thing you're seeing in recruiting is actually recruiting is going to slow down even more now, because you can't afford to offer that kid early that you're not 100% sure about, because you can only bring in 38 guys, right? You can bring in 38 guys in the fall, and you have to cut down to 34 in December, on December 1st. So that's the biggest thing, is you're going to see recruiting slow down even more. What do you think of Shuval on Miami this year? I'm guessing you're asking for Canes. Thought on Bakich comments about with a ton of home games early. I'm up in the air about it. I mean, I understand where he's coming from. I don't think. I mean, listen, a big reason for that, I think it's been brought up, people have tweeted it out, but when you play games and the semester is over in college baseball, all those players have to get paid, basically. And so you're talking about, if you're moving the season back as much as he's saying he wants, that's adding days from the university's perspective, and where they're having to pay out all that stuff. Oh no. Well, it wouldn't be the first stream, guys, if we didn't have some kind of a mishap here. Apologies for that. Don't know how that happened. All right. Well, add that to the blooper reel, please, Wiley. Oh my gosh, I'm reading some of your guys' comments, and I'm gonna have to ban you. I think I'm gonna have to ban you. All right, let's see. Back to, I don't know how that even happened, but here we go. That was actually hilarious. Kyle, show the video of Wiley rizzing up the Canadian bird last year. That was hilarious. And you know what? Wiley started getting some flack for that on social media, and I texted him right away. I said, do not apologize. That was hilarious. Like, no one's going to care about this in a week. Do not, I was like, dude, that was awesome. That was so sick. It was hilarious. That's a legendary broadcast moment. Like, he's now, like, they're going to be watching that, I think, 15 years from now, as like a blooper, or just something funny to laugh at. So I thought that was hilarious. Do you think Drew and Vaughn will be first rounders? Yes. I think Georgia Tech has a chance of having 4 first rounders. And that's like, it's not like, that might happen. It's legit. It is legit. You talking about, Advincula, or I don't know how you even say his last name, but he's legit. He's legit. If he has the year like he's had in the past, he's going to be in the first round. Drew Burress will be in the first round. Von Lackey will be in the first round. And then you have Alex Hernandez, who has a chance to get in there and, probably at the later portions of the first round. I do think Hernandez, if he has a really big year, he's at least like a second, third rounder. But some guys fly upstream. The one thing that Hernandez has, he also can pitch. So from a pro team's perspective, you're looking at, well, if the hitting doesn't work out, maybe we can put him on the bump. I think defensively, I think his draft stock gets hurt because I think he's probably viewed as a corner outfielder moving forward. And again, that just puts so much pressure on the bat to not only hit, but hit for power and a lot of it. So I think that's the only reason he would kind of fall outside of the first round is if that's what people are pegging him as. He's got to have a massive year, especially as a right-handed hitter, to go in the first round. For a team like us, it makes no sense. Yeah, Nine's laughing. Sorry for the interruption. InfoWars HQ is under attack from dissidents. That's probably true, right? Back to you, Kyle. Reveal, but no, not yet. It's obvious live. Yeah, it's obviously live. This was not pre-recorded, right? You guys understand that now. Need to fire your technical team? Yeah, that's me. So I'll be firing myself. Kyle, let me see here. Kyle, have you heard from coaches or anyone in the industry about the possibility of the draft being cut in half to 10 rounds? Yes. And if you ask my dad, he's like, they've been, especially like the more people on the analytics side, they've been trying to do that for like over 15 years. They've been trying to push for the draft to be shortened. And again, because if you don't have a really, really healthy respect and understanding for why baseball has the system that it does with the minor leagues, what you're going to see in the Major League Baseball is a product is just going to deteriorate. The jump from even the SEC and the ACC to what they really want is like maybe AA, AAA, and then the big leagues. They don't want a bunch of minor league teams. The jump from the ACC and the SEC to AA is massive. It is massive. And I think that's where it gets twisted a lot that basically the ACC and the SEC are they're like the equivalent of AAA now or something. I understand that in principle because you're seeing a lot of the velos the same and stuff, but the difference in how polished a pitcher is in college, even the good ones, compared to a guy in AA, generally speaking, right? There's going to be outliers. It's night and day. There's no comparison. And the same is, at least was true of hitters. Now, that's looking like that's turning around, but I digress. Gosh, you guys are so active in asking questions, which is awesome. And you think, so you think the MLB would actually stop allowing high school players to get drafted? I pray this happens. It would help you personally in your business, and it would help Miami. Dude, that's another thing that's weird. I'm like, I don't know why that's being proposed, except for the fact that, if Major League Baseball and the teams want that, the reason is this. Where do you get burned in the draft? You get burned when you have the 3rd overall pick and you grab a high school guy that's, everyone knows are high risk, but they're usually the highest potential, like they're your Mike Trouts and everything like that. And if you swing and miss on that guy, that sets your organization back a couple years when you draft when your 1st overall pick is a bust. And so when you're drafting high school players, it's a higher percentage chance he's going to be a bust. And so if they're not actually allowed to draft high school players, because it's a double-edged sword, because then if you don't ever draft that super high potential but also high risk high school player, you're not going to have that superstar like a Carlos Correa or like a Francisco Lindor. And those are again, you're talking about a perennial all-star type player that can carry a franchise and make a franchise attractive for people wanting to get traded there or wanting to sign there in the offseason. And so you kind of have to draft those guys. But if there's a ruling that makes it to where no one can draft high school players and another team can't come in and draft that guy and make out like a bandit, Now that really high potential, high risk high school player has to prove himself in the ACC or the SEC. And so now we'll have an idea if he's really good or not, right? And so essentially that's what that move is about. It's now we can just pick the best of the best. Those high school guys that we think are good, we'll find out if they're good, and maybe we'll have another shot at picking them. Bucky B, I'm already recruiting him. The coaches know about him. Do we play GT this year? Canes? No. Yeah, 954. Yeah, they don't, which is sad, man, because that was a big series when you guys, although it was not a fond one to remember. Thoughts on the philosophy that fewer apps will be recruited because of roster numbers? Fewer apps. Jeremy, clarify apps. Fewer apps. I'm trying to figure out what you mean. Oh, POs. You corrected it. All right. Fewer POs will be recruited because of roster numbers. I don't buy that. I think, maybe it goes down a hair, but you're going to recruit the best pitching you can. And if they're all POs, you're going to be totally fine with that. I did talk with Auburn's head coach, Butch Thompson, about that last year. And he mentioned to me, he's like, I've never thrown more than like 14 pitchers in a year. So he's like, you want a couple extra than that to give you depth and, weather some injuries. But he's like, you can make it with 12 or 13 pitchers. And so he didn't feel like you really needed to add in more kind of two-way guys. I will say the two-way guy is more attractive now, though. But again, like I said last year, the caveat with the two-way guys is most people think like, oh, he's a good position player and he can throw like 86. Like that's not a two-way guy in the ACC or in the SEC. A two-way guy in the ACC and the SEC is basically as good or close to as good as the POs that he's playing with. People are wondering why Dusty and Dan Polka aren't in the chat. Thoughts, Pie Gal? Well, guys, just so you know, Daniel Polka, look it up. He is a coach in college baseball now, University of Rhode Island. So we will be following Rhode Island this year, and we'll be following Polka as he begins his coaching journey in his first season. I need to send him a good luck text tomorrow, or maybe I'll do it Friday morning. But he is, and then Dusty, I think, told me he was going to be in the chat, but I haven't seen him. I'm going to send him a text right now. He said he was going to be in here. Okay, I just texted him, so we'll see. Canes, he started switch hitting. Let's go. Miami is on the verge of taking this sport over, baby. Canes is a fake fan. Was talking about how much he hated the team last year. Shaking my head. Yeah, that's right. And where is Hetty? That's a good question, too. Thinking Polka may be busy coaching. That's right, Nancy. That's right. We're only 5 years away, Buck. My son will be throwing live ABs against him this Sunday. I'll see if I can get you video. Wow. Jonathan loves me. At 9:35 on a Wednesday, what a hard worker. At 9:30, yeah, that's a good point. You got me there, ACC baseball buzz. You got me there. That's a good point. Yeah, he's maybe it's bedtime. Maybe he's, or you know what? God forbid the guy spend some time with his wife as a college baseball coach, right? Any good players returning from the 25 Canes besides Cuvée? Yeah, Tate DeRias, Siskar. What do you mean? A bunch. Particularly on the pitching side, right? And again, I think Miami is going to be solid. Again, when you're a top 25 team, you got a shot. We have to see if their offense is going to be. Their offense needs to be significantly better than it was last year. For them again, and again, that's after they went to the Super Regional. But no one expected that. Halfway through the season, right? They got really hot. They rode that. And they rode it as long as they could. But so I think for me to feel better, like to feel about the Canes the way Canes does, I need to see that offense being a really decent amount better. If they don't let high school kids get drafted, do they let them go one and done like basketball? That's a good point, 9-5. Maybe. Like, again, I don't know how far away a decision on that is, but it's a weird one. What have you been telling your clients recently, Kyle, with the start of high school baseball? Is your message different from your hitting clients compared to your pitching clients? Yeah, I tell everyone, even potential clients. I mean, when I talk to them, I say, really the ones that are being again, every kid is being impacted. Roster sizes are smaller, the transfer portal, every position is being impacted. But who's being the most impacted is the high school position player. In particular, if you play a corner position, if you're playing corner outfield or corner infield, you gotta. If your goal is SEC, Power 4 type school, you gotta be a baller. I mean, you gotta be a baller. They're not. If they have any reservation about you, you're not getting it. What have you been telling? All right, Bryce Harper was a high school draft pick that did well out of the gate. Yes. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, Nancy, is you have now Bryce technically went to JUCO. He graduated high school early, enrolled in a junior college for his senior year. Or in his I think it might have even been his junior year. Anyway, he kind of was a college player, but what you're saying is, again, right. He's technically a high school guy with his age. And again, like you look at Carlos Correa, look at Francisco Lindor, but there's an even bigger list of guys who you have no idea who their names are because they never got close to making it because they were just complete bust. I feel like unless you are a catcher, shortstop, or center fielder, it's going to be really tough for you to find a home at D1 or even JUCO. Yes. Nice. You're tagging Palka with some players? Nice. Bad Bunny still has eligibility for Miami Canes. That's right. Is Dusty broadcasting again this year? Yeah, he's doing. He's doing Friday, Nancy, and I think he may be doing Saturday too or Sunday. I think he's doing 2 games this weekend. Chat on opening day. Bye, Kyle. All right, see ya. Cuvée will get pitched around all season, and the Canes will be anemic without him, or anemic again. We'll see about that. Oh, no, the offense is going to be... Sorry, I got to look around this light here. Going to be better than... Oh, no, the offense is going to be better than Georgia Tech. I already told you this in your last stream. We are 11-12 deep on offense. Pitching is where we have question marks. I mean, the Georgia Tech offense could go potentially down as one of the best offenses ever. Like, that's how good it is. It's not 9 deep. It's like 15 deep. I mean, if you look at the bench of the Georgia Tech position players... There's like 4 or 5 guys that would be starting at another Power 4 school or another ACC school. And we'll talk about it, right? We'll talk about it here, I think, because I think it's a good segue. And John had brought up the lineup that Tennessee had. This Georgia Tech lineup, I think really the only thing that I can think of, even in Georgia Tech's history where it's similar, would be, Nomar Garciaparra, Jay Payton, Jason Varitek, that type lineup. And the reason is, like I said, you have Drew Burress, who's going to be a top 10 pick. Barring anything crazy happening, he's a top 10 pick. Von Lackey is going to be a top 20 pick. If he has a big year offensively, he flies into top 10 picks. At Vincula, Jared Vincula, he's probably the best second base prospect in the draft. Left-handed bat. Little bit of an unorthodox setup, unorthodox kind of looking swing, but it really works. He can really hit. Defensively, I think he's supposed to be a great defender. I need to watch him more as the season begins. But those 3 guys are like basically, if they have really good years, they are for sure first rounders. Those 3 guys. Again, Alex Hernandez could have a really big year and find his way in the back end of the first round. So you could have you have legit 3 like almost certain first round picks unless something crazy happens, and then 1 legit potential first round pick. And then you have other guys behind that that are really good hitters too. Like the whole lineup is full of really good hitters, and then you have like top of the draft talented hitters. The lineup, there is no weak spot in Georgia Tech's lineup. It is pitchers are going to be in nightmares thinking about facing the lineup. All right. Let's see what else you said. I don't even think he will start midway through the year. Tennessee Vols. Our freshman catcher is the best freshman in the country. He's a switch hitting monster and throws everyone out. We'll see, right? You know, Aiden Knock wins. Yeah, I love Aiden Knock. I think he's great. I think he's great. We got some freshmen like you guys do. Big monsters. You are one of the schools we go head to head with a lot, and we lose a lot. Yeah. What's your schedule going to be going forward? Any day streams or night only? It's probably going to be all night, Barks. It'll be around 9 or 10 p.m. And I'm going to try to do that probably 4 times a week. And then maybe sometimes on the weekends, obviously we'll do like the watch parties and stuff like that. If I'm not doing a broadcast, right? So I am doing broadcast this year. So if I am not doing a broadcast, or if I am doing a broadcast, you guys just tune into the broadcast, and we'll do it like that. But that's the schedule going forward. We got some freshmen like you guys. Yep, I read that already. And so that's how good Georgia Tech's lineup is, guys. I mean, it's nightmarish. It's nightmarish. I mean, who knows how many runs they're going to put up all year, but it's going to be massive. All right. Oh, I didn't mean to push that one. Move that tab over there. Okay. Man, is that bright enough? Holy cow. The D1 baseball website cannot get any brighter. Okay, let's see. What did you say, Canes? I see our whole lineup batting over 300 this season. Even Mikey, he has really impressed me since summer ball in the Cape to fall and spring. He has taken a serious jump. Well, that's great then. If you like, I know you've watched him a bunch, Canes. Like I know you're that guy that's going to all like the inner squads and everything. You're my eyes and ears inside Miami's operation, but I think that needs to be the case for Miami to be like, let's just say like a for sure top 10 type team. If their offense, again, they don't need to be what Georgia Tech's offense is probably going to be. If they can be like an above average offense in the ACC, they're going to be really good. To fall and spring, he's taking serious. Coach Willie, come back. What's up, Knox? I couldn't, man. I couldn't this year, dude. I just didn't have the time. And Buck, I told you they'd be coming back in here. What do we see at the opening weekend tournament in Fort Worth? What do we see? What do you mean by what do we see? Like who's going to look the best? We miss you, Coach. What's up, Rex? We miss you, Coach. I miss you guys too. Like I'm dead honest. Like I like if I could have done it, I would have done it like that. I'll say it like that. You know, I don't want to get into why, but I talked to Mark right around January 2nd or 3rd. And I told him, I was like, I don't know if I can do it yet, but like, you give me another week. And it just, I did not have the time. There was just no way I could pull it off. And I also didn't want to like be showing up once a week or something and then not being able to go to certain games. So, but Carter, I saw you hit 2 bombs yesterday or 2 days ago. So, I mean, what was the wind? The wind had to have been blowing out like 50 miles an hour. Who's looking best in making an early statement in Fort Worth? Well, let's see. Tell me who the I haven't seen who the teams are, Buck. I'm trying to look for it right now. Let me see if I can find it. All right, TCU, Vandy, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. Okay. I think I'm excited for this one because I want to see how my boy Shory's doing it at Vandy. You know, is he going to be in the opening weekend rotation or not? And I guess that's probably out now. I could probably go look for that. But I think Vandy and Arkansas I think those are going to be the 2 best teams. And I'm excited to see Texas Tech. Like, are they going to be able to bounce back? and start looking more like Texas Tech again. I think TCU is going to be really good. That's a great opening tournament. But I think it's probably Vandy or Arkansas that comes out of there. When was Indeed blowing out? I can't confirm. Yeah, I mean, of course. It's a foregone conclusion on offense, brother. If one of them struggles, here comes the switching freshman Alonzo Alvarez. Yeah, but Canes. What I'm trying to say, and I'm just trying to temper your expectations. The difference is, I think Miami's got more guys that need to prove it. Georgia Tech's guys are all like, they've got 2 years, 3 years behind their belt of just putting up big time numbers. That's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, like, you may have some guys that, man, they've looked great in the fall and then they just regress into the season. That does happen. So that's the only thing I'm saying. I can tell you I'm being more homerish on our pitching than hitting. Everyone in our fan base is in agreement that we will be a top 5, top 10 offense in the nation. Okay. Texas Tech will make a statement of going winless and losing by margin each game. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't understand what's going on at Texas Tech. I mean, they were like a top 10 team, top 15 team, really for like close to the last decade, almost every year. Maybe like last like 6 or 7 years up until the last couple. They just haven't looked the same. And I don't know what it is. It's such a great program. It's, again, they've just been full of studs. And so I don't know what's going on there. I don't know how. There's so much talent in the state of Texas. And so that should be, they should be balling. They should be balling. So that will be interesting. That'll be interesting to see. It looks like Friday it'll be Oklahoma versus Texas Tech at 11 a.m. TCU versus Vandy at 3, which will be great. 7 p.m. is Oklahoma State versus Arkansas. That's a bold take from me on being better than GT. There's about a 5 to 10% chance that happens, but top 5, top 10, that is around 60-80%. Okay, yeah. I agree there. I think the likelihood that Miami's offense is better at the end of the year than Georgia Tech's is very small, very small. But that doesn't mean they can't be like really good still. Because again, Georgia Tech's lineup has the chance to be like an elite of the elite type, like offenses ever in college baseball history. That's how good it is. Will Stanford bounce back this year? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's one thing that you are seeing is a lot of the schools that were really good on the West Coast for decades are starting to hurt. And that's just the reality. I do think you see teams like USC kind of coming back to life under Andy Stankiewicz. But some of them, you're kind of like, man, like Stanford, again, like 2-3 years ago was just like a perennial top 10 team. And then they just kind of, they're losing all their players to NIL. They lost their best arm to Georgia. So there's issues over there. I think they're not getting a whole lot of support NIL wise. Again, Stanford's a high academic place, but Georgia Tech's a high academic place. Duke's a high academic place. Boston, maybe Boston College is not a great example, but it's a high academic place. But the three I mentioned prior, Wake Forest, high academic place. These are all schools that are doing really well and consistently in the top 25. So, maybe it's just been a lull, and we'll see Stanford back to kind of normal Stanford, kind of the way Stanford always was, but we have to wait and find out. 16 years of dominance in the state. There's a new captain in town. We'll end their reign finally. Who's your pick for most overrated team going into the season? I don't know, man. And I think that's like trying to, you're almost guessing at that point. Like, I think when people do stuff like that, Buck, preseason, it's like, you're just throwing darts at the wall and hoping something will stick. Because on paper, all the teams in the top 25 are probably deserving of it. And all the teams in the top 10 are probably deserving of it. But what happens is, you have guys that you're expecting to do really well, and they lay a goose egg for the year. There's no way anyone can predict that. There's no way. I mean, that does happen to a lot of teams where the guys they were going to depend on end up doing terrible. Like not just like okay, terrible. And having that happen to one guy in your starting lineup or one guy in your starting rotation, that's a huge impact because now everybody's positioning on the team moves around. So I don't have an overrated team pick, but just because Canes is here, I'll say Miami. Arizona and UCLA is still great. Yeah, UCLA is still really maintaining that edge. They're still maintaining that edge. They're getting up, and again, it's an incredibly historic program. In Arizona, again, you talk Arizona State, like they're really serious in NIL. Arizona State obviously has got everyone's getting a full ride. So those teams are competing because they're doing what the SEC schools are doing. And that's kind of my point, right? And a lot of the ACC schools are up there now too, is if you're not up in your scholarship game and up in your NIL game, it's going to be hard to compete. Like that's the reality is like, if you cannot do that, if every year you're not, again, some programs are already at all full rides and giving out big time NIL money. But if you're a program, as long as you're continuing to increase every year, you're going to be able to compete. But the teams that can't do that or are not willing to do that, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle big time. Canes will have for sure 6 guys batting over 300. Okay. UNC high academics. Yeah, I mean, like the ACC, like half the schools you look at them. I mean, even like Miami, for example. I mean, Miami is very, very difficult to get into. Numbers I ran from the main publications on preseason top 25. Say that again, Canes. Say that again. Oh, yeah. While we're waiting, I'm going to look up ACC baseball buzz. Let's see. I feel like I know who this is. I don't know who it is, but I recognize that handle. Okay. All right. So Canes trying to get into the quant streams. He's running some numbers. 12 preseason top 25 hosted 75% chance. Okay. So 12 of the preseason top 25. Oh, okay. Okay. Having 12 of them, there's a 75% chance that 12 preseason top 25 teams will host. There's an 88% chance that 22 preseason top 25 teams make the postseason. There's a 44% chance that 11 preseason top 25 teams make the supers. Is Tech's NIL where it needs to be for baseball? I think Tech's in a good spot. And the reason you can see that is none of their players are leaving. And so, when that's happening, again, I think that speaks to Ramsey. I think that speaks to the coaching staff in general. Like the guys, they really like their coaches and they connect well with them and they feel like they're being developed, right? I mean, it's understated how much of an impact that can have on retaining players. When players feel like, not just the starters are getting love and attention, but the guys who are, maybe the younger guys or guys that are still working to kind of improve are also getting it. Like you're not going to see as many guys leaving. And it also speaks to like you're able to pay guys what they need to get paid. Coach Willie, please come back. Outfield drills are brutal. Bob, unfortunately, has no idea what he's doing. Don't talk about Bob like that on my stream, Coleman. All right. He's doing what he can. Will Georgia figure it out this year and dominate when it counts? I think Georgia, Georgia's like a great test case for this portal era. They're going to have like a bunch of transfer guys all over their team. And so the question is when you go that heavy in the portal is your team able to have enough cohesion? I mean, is there enough team chemistry? Are you able to build that over the course of a fall and a month or two of the spring to where those players are really fighting for each other. And that's really where I'm wanting to see. I'm wanting to see that from Georgia early. The other thing is, they do have a lot of mid-major transfer guys, and the question is, if you got 4 or 5 mid-major hitters in the lineup, are all 5 of them gonna do what you thought they're gonna do, or 4 of them, or 3 of them? So there's just a lot of question marks for Georgia because outside of a few returners, it's a lot of transfer guys, and are they gonna really want to play for each other? It's someone who was in chats last year because he knew me. Yeah, I know. It's like the account has like 12 followers, so it's kind of like a burner almost. But he also is tweeting ACC information, so I don't know. What's the average NIL payment for a Power 4 kid? Well, it depends on if it's a starter. So you're talking about someone who's transferring to let's just say the SEC or the ACC. SEC is probably a little bit higher. But dude, that number is going up and up. I mean, a couple of years ago, it was probably like 85 or 100. And now it's up there close to the 200 range. I mean, a lot of these guys going to the SEC are getting that or more. I mean, I'm hearing stuff about like 400,000, 500,000 for certain guys. And so, I mean, that, like I told you guys that like a year or two ago, that number is going to keep going up. I mean, these guys very quickly are going to be getting paid like on average $500,000. I mean, that's where we're headed, unless something crazy happens. Man, that Black Cherry Zevia is good, dude. Okay. Number 1, Canes. Oh, these are your top 8 seeds. Okay. Vanderbilt, number 1 again. 2 Texas, 3 Arkansas, 4 Auburn, North Carolina, LSU, Oregon State. Canes, I don't know. What is that? What are you doing there? I think O'Connor and Mississippi State are the most interesting going into the season. A lot of talent, but a lot of change there. I agree. I think that's a great one too. But you know what, man? Those O'Connor and McMullen and the rest of those guys, like, I think they did a great job retaining the pitching coach. I think that was a really smart move. It allowed for a continuity of somewhat from the old staff. So like the players don't feel like they're just like meeting everybody for the first time. They at least know him. So I thought that was a brilliant move. He's also he did a heck of a job down the stretch, as the interim head coach, but the pitching staff was really Mississippi State's strength. I mean, that was their pitching staff was very good. McMullen is a very old school guy. He's going to toughen up that team. So I think they're going to really do well. I think Mississippi State's one of those teams that I'm probably booking to Omaha. I really think that, because I think that highly of the coaching staff. Daniel Dickinson got $400K last year from LSU. I was told that from a parent. Yeah, I mean, that's where that's what we're headed. I can't confirm that, so I don't know if that's true or not, but that doesn't surprise me, if that makes sense. That was the top 8 last year. That was their preseason ranking. Okay. I was like so confused, but now I get what you're saying. Dickinson from UVU building a great program. Vandy was number 15 preseason last year, and they were the number 1 seed. Yeah, I remember that. It makes sense now. I just didn't get what the I didn't know what you were doing with like number 15. I thought you were predicting their ranking. I don't know. I didn't know what you were doing. Now I think about it, I don't even know why I was thinking that. But anyway. Okay. So what games are you guys opening weekend? We're all going to watch our favorite teams, right? Or, our teams. But which are the games are you looking forward to outside of that? Which games are you guys thinking about? Maybe I'll take a peek at this. Again, Buck brought up the kind of that little tournament in Fort Worth with a bunch of good schools. The crazy thing is, let me look here real quick. 1 second. Okay. I saw something about rankings that wasn't correct. So preseason top 8 doesn't mean you'll be top 8. It's a 25% chance according to last year. Yeah, according to last year. I think if you did it in aggregate over all the years, it's probably higher than that. But it's probably not much higher. I do think it is very hard to be a top 8 seed. I'll be glued to Miami, FSU, and UF. Okay, all the Florida schools. Also some Creighton. They come to town soon. Apparently they are good. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid mid-major, good program. And it's like we talked about last year, Canes. The mid-majors are getting a lot better because the mid-majors are able to go get proven guys in the portal as well. And again, the SEC and the ACC, they're probably, are they getting the best portal guys? Yes. But having proven guys in your lineup instead of, taking all your chances because you had to on a freshman high school player, that is probably a little bit of a step below the general SEC or ACC recruit. Now you can still go get proven guys from D2, from JUCO. And again, they always could get guys from JUCO, but you understand what I'm saying. They just have a bigger pool of guys to go after. The only real competitive games are the tournament. Stanford, Arizona will be interesting. Yeah, I agree, Buck. Usually opening weekend is like everyone's just excited to see their team play, but there's usually not much. So I think that the Fort Worth, that tournament is going to be fun to watch. But yeah, Stanford, Arizona will be good too. And next year is when you really see them be better than a lot of Power 4 schools. Some mid-majors are tapping into big NIL money. No, 100%. And the reason for that, you are seeing now, like mid-major, again, basketball is still the king at mid-major, but you're seeing a lot of mid-major schools now. Baseball's kind of the king. Baseball is where they're the most competitive, the best chance of making. And again, think about like East Carolina, think about Dallas Baptist, think about Coastal Carolina. Baseball's the king there. Baseball is the king there. And so schools like that, even though they're mid-major, they're going to get a lot of support. And I mean, think about East Carolina. They basically sell it every weekend. East Carolina is like an SEC school, basically. Canes and Shriners tourney. Nice. Every level next year is going to get 10x better next season. I feel bad for the 27 class. Some mid-majors. Why are you saying that, Canes? FAU NIL is 150K. Yeah, and that's solid for a mid-major. FIU is like 90 to 100. Good weekend to take in 50 wheels recaps on YouTube. Nice. I'll be in Houston in 2 weeks for the Coastal Texas game. Oh, that'll be great. Because of the roster cuts from 40. Oh, sure. Okay, I get where you're going with that now. Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's why recruiting is going to go super slow for 27s, super slow for 28s, because you can't, again, like I think when you could bring in like unlimited guys, which some schools did, you could offer, you could go after and commit guys very early and know you always had room to, okay, we gotta add a guy or this, because you're not worried about getting having too many guys. But now you have to be worried about over recruiting and committing 2 guys too early if you're not sure about them, because now you're gonna have to cut somebody and recruit somebody late. You can't just fill up your recruiting class super fast, because you have to have an understanding of, maybe we lose 10 guys in the portal. Maybe we lose 4. Well, if we lose 4, are we gonna cut the other guys we were expecting to lose, right? All of a sudden, like roster management becomes a lot more difficult. We have 40 players right now, plus recruits coming in. We're going to have to cut guys. Yep. It's solid until one of the big three in Florida comes in and takes your best player for the cost of your NIL budget. Yeah. I mean, but again, we're not talking about like the mid majors. At least most of them, and certainly not all of them, right? But most of the mid majors, I mean, they're going to lose that battle every time. They're not going to win that. But where they win is grabbing some of the kind of next tier of proven player. They may not be the 5-tool guy. They may not be the 25-plus home run guy, but they're still a guy that's going to hit 330 and he's going to hit 9-10 home runs. And he's going to be a really solid player for a mid-major, like really good player for a mid-major. Like FSU did it to FAU, their coach talked about that. A&M also took their closer for more than their whole NIL budget. Yeah. Man, A&M, I mean, talk about the, A&M's number 25 right now in the top 25 rankings. And I've seen a lot of predictions. A lot of people think A&M is going to be near the bottom of the SEC, which is, again, the SEC is so deep, you can be at the bottom of it and still be in the top 25, but that's a team to watch this year too. There's a lot of pressure on that staff to put out a better product. When you go from preseason number 1 to where they dropped, that was not good. So there's a lot of pressure there. What mid-majors are in Utah? No, Grand Canyon's in Arizona. Yeah, Utah Valley. Yeah. I think I can't think of any others. I do not believe in them. I don't believe in them. Mississippi State and Virginia. Yeah, I agree. I disagree about Mississippi State, but I agree about A&M. I agree about A&M. And Virginia, I think Virginia is going to be interesting to see. I think that's a toss-up for me. I think it could go either way. It's really, the ACC, what to watch here is, obviously you got Duke with a totally new staff. You got Virginia with Duke's old staff. So there's a lot of interesting things. Wake Forest is another interesting thing to see. Is their pitching going to be able to remain the same? Are they going to have a dominant pitching staff, right? Are they going to be able to keep that culture and moniker of Wake Forest is one of the places you wanted to go if you're a pitching guy, if you're a pitcher, because of that, the way they market the lab and everything like that. That's where everyone wanted to be. I think UVA will be good. Duke is going to be hurting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think Duke certainly has the toughest of those two, Virginia and Duke. I think Duke's got the tougher task at hand. Different coach now, brother. Yeah, Virginia always elite with recruiting. Yeah, it is a different staff, but again, we talked about it last year. What Chris Pollard did at Duke is insane under the constraints that he has at Duke. He's going to have less constraints at Virginia. He's not really going to have to. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Pollard recruits at Virginia, because I think with what he did, I don't think most people don't understand that Duke is not a place where you can just take anybody. That does not happen there. They still have pretty high, pretty strict standards, even for athletes on scholarship. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do at Virginia over the next couple of years. Gator, what's up, dude? Where you been, homie? Good to see you back. I've been living life, man, but we're back. College baseball's in 2 days, starts in 2 days, so we're back. But good to see you, Gator. Where did Wake's pitching coach go? He's the head coach at Duke, man. Moose is now the head coach at Duke. So it's a first time head coach, and it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, James Ramsey's got the most loaded team in the ACC, but it'd be interesting to see like Moose and Ramsey, like probably considered one of the best hitting coaches in the country. Moose considered one of the best pitching coaches in the country. It'd be interesting to see the trajectory of their teams, how those two different sides of the ball, from a head coach perspective, how that impacts how those teams look. Pollard is a good recruiter. I saw it this year. Him getting Samir Muhammad on campus for a recruiting visit was impressive to me. Yeah, that kid is good, huh? That kid's good. I think the arm action to me is a little bit scary. And anytime a high school kid throws that hard, it's like it's probably going to blow out at some point. That's just how it works. But the kid's he's good. What kind of high academic schools in the ACC plus Vandy really hold their high standards for their players? I know Duke supposedly does. Yeah, from what I know, Duke does. Boston College does. I think Wake does to an extent. I don't think Wake does as much as Duke, but Wake does. I don't know. I mean, Georgia Tech, I'll say it like this. If you have like a slightly above average working brain as a scholarship athlete, you can get in. At least you could when I was going through it. The SAT score requirement was not high. And then I think you just had to, be decent in school. So some of them, even Georgia Tech is a great super high academic school, the best school, in my opinion. They were able to get in athletes easier than like a Duke does. But I think probably the two schools in the ACC that are like holding people to the highest standard, even the athletes, is Duke and Boston College. Miami does. Laughs. I mean, Miami is also a very good education. But it's like, it's not in any other conference. Miami's looked at as like the brainiacs, but in the ACC, they're just not. It's funny how that works. Time for Kyle's quote about baseball and academics from his coach. Oh yeah. School first, baseball second. That's what he said. Hey guys, just remember, school first, baseball second. And we all started laughing. But I mean, that's what, again, when your goal is, I want to play in the big leagues, I want to play professional baseball, I think it is underestimated how much time you have to spend improving yourself as a baseball player. And meaning like, on your Monday off day, when you could be getting a lot of classwork done, you're going to hit extra. You're going to get an extra lift in. You're doing other work around the field, even without the coaches there, because that's what your goal is. Oh, hey, thanks, Anthony. What's up, man? Thanks for the subscription, dude. Appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. We're probably getting close to the end of the stream, but thank you for joining. We'll be doing these about 4 times a week moving forward with college baseball starting. So thank you for being here. Banjo, you train at EP4 NYC? Oh. But yeah, Kappa, that was the quote. That was my freshman year. That was probably like first or second day on campus. We had like a team meeting in the locker room. And my locker said, GM son number 1, or son of the GM number 1, or GM son number 1. My twin brothers said GM son number 2. And then one of our best friends at the time, who pitched with us in high school, was right next to us, and his said wannabe GM son, I thought that was funny. That was funny. Anthony is from the U. Canes is always bringing in his boys, man. Always bringing in his boys. I should have guessed that with a Spanish last name. I should have guessed that. Are you surprised that NIL hasn't helped college baseball? Do you mean? I mean, it depends on what you mean by helped. I think you could make an argument. It's certainly helped in viewership. I think it's made people more interested in the sport. Uh, just from just generally speaking. But do you think it's helped the parity in college baseball? I think you could make arguments to either. I think you could make arguments from both sides. I do think the argument that there's the talent gap has, I would say it like this. I think there's a better argument an easier argument to make that the talent gap in college baseball has increased from, like, let's say the SEC and the ACC to the other conferences. And we see that every year in the RPI, and, the SEC is number one and the ACC is number two. And then there's like a decent fall off between number to number three. Anthony doesn't know much about NIL and baseball. I don't know him. He is just always in the Canes chats with me. Nice. In terms of revenue and maybe keeping some of the high school kids going to college in terms of the top guys, even if they're being projected in the first round, it's definitely, Anthony, it's not, NIL isn't keeping the first round pick from leaving, typically, because no one in college baseball is getting like a $3 million signing bonus. So you're still going to lose those guys. It's those like third round, maybe not even third round, but like it's like those fourth, fifth rounders to the 8th, 9th, 10th rounder that usually would have gotten like 300 grand, 400 grand. It's those guys are going to college because now they're like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to get 100K my freshman year. Maybe if they're really good, maybe they're getting 50K, 100K. But if I do really well, I can transfer and I can make like 250,000 at this school. So it's looked at more now. Well, if I'm a good player, I'm going to make, and if I stay all 4 years, I might make close to $1 million instead of signing a $400,000 signing bonus. So that it is keeping those guys in college. It certainly is. But as for a revenue perspective, listen, I think some teams in college baseball, and I think the universities are at fault, like they need to be heavily incentivizing people to go to games. Because, if they're buying food at the concession stand, if they're buying beer at the concession stand, you're going to start making money. And if you have like promotions on the field and, like a lot of those old school minor league games where you had things going on in the field, people feel like, oh, I can bring my kid here. They have like cool things going on. I think there's 100% ways you could get people to the game. All right. So I think the universities are just lazy, to be honest. Because who doesn't want to go to a baseball game, especially once it warms up on the weekend, sunny. I mean, that's like heaven, like a 3:00 game on a Saturday where the sun's still up in the air, but it's not super hot. And I can get a hot dog with some mustard. And I like the sauerkraut on it, mustard, sauerkraut. And like my growing up as a kid, going to Braves games all the time because of my dad, like my like perfect baseball experience is like a 4:00 game or 3:00 game or something like that, where it's still sunny and clear. And I got a hot dog, mustard, sauerkraut, and I got maybe some fries and a big Coke, just a big Coke. That's literally when I think about going to the game and that's what I think about. That's what I would always get. Now we did have access to some of the better food because of my dad, and we would go up to like the old club level. Maybe this 700 I think it's the Hank Aaron Home Run 755 Club. And we'd get some of that food up there sometimes. But most of the time I would go there, I'd get a hot dog, maybe a couple hot dogs. And it depends on what city you're into. There's way too much stuff to do in places like Los Angeles and Miami on Saturday or Sundays, or even on Mondays if it's a 4-day weekend to go to a baseball game. No, I agree. That's certainly a point. That's a point, right? And Georgia Tech being in Atlanta it's similar. There's a lot of stuff to go see and do. There's a reason why LSU, Clemson, all these more rural schools seem to have really big followings, and a lot of the big fan support, and a lot of the SEC schools in general. That's kind of how they're situated. So I think that's a part of it, but still, there's however many thousand students that go to Miami or go to Georgia Tech or go to some of these other schools where you don't see a whole lot of. And I will say this about Georgia Tech: they're getting a lot more fan support than when I played. Man, when I played, you played some games where there was like nobody there. So Georgia Tech fans are actually, I see the attendance going up every year now, especially over the last 3 or 4 years. The attendance is up, and so it's that seems like that is working. But I don't think that's a product of like the university doing anything. I think that's a product of just the college game as becoming more mainstream. It's becoming more and more people are watching college baseball games. So that means there's going to be more people at the games. Heck yeah, Kyle, that's a perfect baseball day. 100%, man. I'm like salivating just thinking about it. I'm like, man, I could really go for like a hot dog and big Coke. Hot dog and sauerkraut, man, and mustard. I don't know. A lot of people don't like sauerkraut. I love it. Which means I must have some kind of like German or Eastern European ancestor, because I put that on a hot dog, which again is like, that same area where that comes from. That there's nothing better. And mustard. I'm like outing myself as having to be like Eastern European or something. They have a lot of D1 guys. They have Grasso teammate who I wanted, Cole Cone. He is throwing 97 now. Okay. I agree with you. Most of the college town, that's easier to go to games for baseball on these long weekends because they have nothing else to do in the city. Yeah. But I also think the SEC really they hammer out the marketing, and they have ticket deals going on all the time. And I think Georgia Tech this year did a really good job of getting, offering people like early, they have an early opportunity to get season tickets for like a really cheap price. And I thought that was a great idea. And now their job is to make it to where the game experience is so good that they want to go to every game. Our crowds have been the same since Laz got locked up. Coulter Ridge Laz. All right, guys. If GT isn't packed this year, I don't know what to say. Yeah, agreed, Canes. I think, well, you understand early on, it's cold outside. You're facing some there's not like big time matchups going on, but certainly once it warms up and we're in ACC play, when we're in ACC play, it better be. I'm going to try to go to as many games as I can. Obviously, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, so some games doesn't line up with naps or doesn't line up with bedtime, but I'm going to try to go to as many games as I can. Hey, this is what happening. Miami's football team split and goes to Big Ten, but sports like men and women's basketball and baseball go to the SEC. Yeah. Because the Big Ten is the best football conference now. I mean, I think that's pretty evident, right? I mean, the Big Ten, what did they won the last 3 national championships? Is that correct? And the SEC got dominated in the playoffs and the bowls this year. They got dominated. So anyway, guys, I know we didn't get to, is Justin LeBron the best overall player in the game right now? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I want to see him more this year. He's definitely got, I mean, he's got all the talent in the world. Is he the best overall player? I think his hitting, there was some, I think as a hitter and talking pure hitting, right? I'm not talking about his OPS. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm just talking about as a hitter. I think he had some areas last year he could improve on. I saw some maturity issues with him last year that I didn't really like. And again, that it was a freshman, that happens. But if you're talking the best overall player in the game, I'm hoping you mean college game. Like, that's someone who is totally under control of his emotions. That's somebody who is a polished pure hitter. That's why I would say, like, if you're going to go with anyone, you go with like a Drew Burress or a Chalowski from UCLA, guys that have a track record, and those are the guys you go with. Who do you think is the best underclassman coming in, either as a pitch or a hitter, that you think makes the biggest impact? Best underclassman coming in. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna. You know, again, I'm gonna. This is gonna be a homer, but I'm gonna go with Charlie Wilcox. I think if, as a freshman for Georgia Tech, I think he's got a chance to be a closer type pitcher and maybe even find his way into the starting rotation if his command is there. Lights out stuff. And I know he was in the running. He was in that competition for Sunday before they ultimately went with Cooper Underwood. But he's a guy that he may end up having a really big role in the bullpen for Georgia Tech. And I think he has a chance to be one of those freshman arms that's really impressive that you see all of a sudden in the Super Regional in Omaha. And maybe you've never followed that team before and you're like, man, they got this freshman pitcher. It's really good. I feel like he has that chance. He didn't even carry Alabama to beat his hometown Hurricanes in the regional. True. I would disagree, Gaines. That goes to UCLA shortstop as the best overall player. I think he wins the Golden Spikes Award this year. Yeah, certainly there's going to be a lot of good players up for grabs. You got Cuvée, you got Chalowski at UCLA, you got Drew Burress. I mean, there's a lot of really talented players that have a shot at winning the Golden Spikes this year. I can see him switching roles with Patel, and Patel goes to closer, and Wilcox goes to Saturday. Yeah, 100%. I think that's less likely, and the only reason I say that is it's hard. It's hard to find a freshman pitcher that's polished enough to really, really be a true starter, and meaning he throws consistent strikes, doesn't get rattled when he gives up a few runs. It's hard to find a freshman that can do that. So I would bank more on him having success out of the bullpen, because all he's got to worry about is getting 3 outs and missing bats, right? He's not worried about having to go 7 innings, 6 innings. And I think that's a big key for Georgia Tech as well. I think the question, I think, from the pitching staff is, 1, who's Saturday, Sunday? 2, is Tate McKee going to be able to go consistently deep into games? Because last year he was kind of the king of a solid 5 1/3 inning start. It was, he was solid 5 1/3, gave up 3 or, gave up 4, but you're in a good spot with that offense last year with that kind of a start. And so I think the question is, can Tate McKee really just become a true Friday night ace? And a true Friday night, we've talked about this a bunch, right? We've talked about it with Dusty, and he's been on here. A true Friday night ace is a guy that, he's going 7 innings a start, 7 innings. And, I think about guys, and now it's a different era. Guys don't throw as many pitches, and it's, whatever. But, Buck Farmer was going 9 innings. Mark Pope was going 9 innings. Marcus Stroman was going like 7, 8, 9 innings. Danny Hultzen was going 8, 9 innings. Carlos Rodon, same thing. He was going 7, 8 innings. Like, those guys, they just took over a game for like the entire game. And Friday night was, it was a battle. It was a 1-run game. It was 1-0, 2-1. And so and in this era, obviously the scores would be different, but I think that's a big deal for Georgia Tech. If Tate McKee can be a guy that can really carry Friday night for the bullpen, that team's going to be really good, really good. We had 2 last year, and both weren't ranked as high as Wilcox. Yeah. But that's the thing is sometimes you know what you're getting and sometimes you don't know what you're getting. And sometimes guys show up on campus that weren't the highest ranked dude and they're studs. You know, nobody thought I was going to be as good as I was. Nobody did. I mean, I didn't think I was going to be that good. I really didn't. I mean, I just thought my freshman year, my goal was like, I just want to hit 300, get on base and score a lot of runs, right? Play good defense. Like those were my goals. I wasn't like, I want to, be a freshman All-American or anything like that, even though that had been a dream of mine since I was like a sophomore in high school. I just wanted to start and I wanted to contribute like that. Those were my goals. And I think that's why I had so much success my freshman year. Cause I didn't have any of these like super high expectations on what I was going to do statistically. And so that's what they're going to be. That's what he's going to be dealing with. So Wilcox, I think, it ends up being that's like my freshman pick is having a big impact on a team. Again, now sometimes with position players, it's hard to predict which freshman position player is going to do really well. But I think as a pitcher, Wilcox he'll be up there with some of the most impactful freshmen. Kyle, before Miami got into the league for baseball, which starter or reliever did you hate facing when you were at Georgia Tech? I hated facing Danny Hultzen. I only got to I think I faced him twice. But he was. I say this all the time. I think maybe I only faced him once. I had 3 or 4 at bats off of him, and actually I went 2 for 4. But it was like a jam shot, no chance flare for a single. And then my last at bat, I came up with a runner on third and 2 outs, and I legitimately made the decision that I'm just going to try to bunt for a hit because like I don't have a chance against this guy. I really don't. And I ended up bunting for a hit to third base. Our run scored and I beat it out, so I got a single. So I ended up going 2 for 4. But my first at bat, it was the most dominated I ever felt like as a hitter. When you walk up there and see what his stuff did, and how hard he threw, and how low slot angle he was, and he had like 70 command. Like everything was on the corner. He didn't throw anything over the middle of the plate. Oh, and I didn't even face his best pitch because he just threw fastball slider to lefties, and his changeup was his best pitch according to scouts. I never saw it. So if that tells you how good he was in college, he was unbelievable. And that was the most uncomfortable, most dominated I've ever felt in an at bat. And I've faced big leaguers in Major League Spring Training. I faced guys like Josh Hader. I faced guys like a kid from Vandy, Walker Buehler, when he had made it up to AAA. And Danny Hultzen was the most uncomfortable, most dominated at bat I've ever experienced. I think I struck out on 3 pitches my first at bat, and I just walked back to the dugout and was like, I didn't even see the ball. I couldn't even see the spin on the ball. It was spinning so fast on a slider. I literally said that. I'm like, I couldn't even see the spin. And I had really good eyes at the plate. Like I was a guy who really tracked the ball well, could really pick up spin quickly, and I didn't see anything. So that was it. I think that's a good place to end it, guys. Excited to get the season started. Really, honestly honored and really appreciate like you guys that are still coming back and like chatting the entire time. Like you guys are the best, and really appreciate how dedicated you are. Even though I, didn't have a lot of time to do this for a long time, last like 5, 6 or 7 months. To have you guys back and be able to talk and just like it was yesterday is awesome. So looking forward to doing this the rest of the college baseball way. And then I think we're gonna try to find a way in the fall and winter to keep this thing going and try to have maybe we cover just professional baseball and just talk through that and kind of pivot there. But Appreciate you guys, and we'll be back again. I'll shoot out some tweets about the schedule, upcoming schedule, so you guys will know